Hello, friends. Welcome to the Beau Show. I'm your host, Beau Braden. Today's guest is my dear friend, Dallas Hobbs. Dallas is a graphic design student at Washington State University, where he also plays football. He's a dear friend of mine, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet him. Dallas, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Man, well, better now that you're here. I'm excited to have you on. Um, like I said before, this is Dallas Hobbs, one of my good friends from Washington State. Dallas, we really connected at Wazoo while we were there through not only football, but with graphic design and art and being creative minds and passionate. I'd love for you to just kind of tell me your story and how you got to where you're at now and what drove your passion through art and speaking up on what you believe in.
I would say definitely a long journey, mainly to get where I am right now, would just, started in high school. Grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Grew up in a sports dominated family. My dad played football at the University of Iowa. My mom dabbled in a little track. That's where I got my speed from, I guess. And then, my dad played professionally with the Falcons for a couple years. And then when he got back to Iowa, he played rugby for another 10 years. And then he also played four sports in high school. So when I was born, grew up, really everything was around sports, just watching my dad play rugby. I remember doing that for a while. And then just started picking up myself, football, flag football, basketball, baseball. I guess I just picked up those three to start. I did that all the way up until my senior year of high school. It was all sports. But I would say where I really got my creative style, it started in, elementary. I was always into the art classes, drawing and doing stuff like that. Then it transitioned to, picking a few art classes in high school. Then I kind of lost it for a while. My initial plan was go into engineering or architecture, critical thinking, mathematics, that side of things. So I took the running start, like college programs, went to the community college in my town, took architecture classes, took engineering classes, and really stuck with that for a while. And that was my plan, going into college. That's what I wanted to do. But then I got involved with a program in high school called Iowa Big. And this was a different side. You could switch out your economics, your history, all that to take a few classes there. And these were project-based learning. And I think that's where I took these graphic design skills and really ran with them. So, I helped work on, I guess, even my fashion a little bit too. So I helped start just a little basic clothing design. We were making it from scratch. We made leather belts from scratch. We made our shirts and everything from scratch. So that was, a good opportunity to do that. And it was project-based learning, which I realized is something, I'm really about. I like to do hands-on things. I'm not about, learning from a book, memorizing it all and taking tests. That's not really how I operate. And so I did that. That was my senior year of high school. And then, we bounced back to sports. I was playing football, playing basketball, playing baseball. Ended up tearing my meniscus my junior year, which is definitely a big year of recruiting in sports, as going to those camps that year. My senior year didn't have any offers until maybe a few weeks into the season, I guess. I got like a 40% or something to South Dakota. Just wasn't my fit. And luckily I had the opportunity. I would say I am super lucky for a lot of things in my life, and that's the reason I am where I am, is a lot of luck and networking, knowing the right people. So back to it. A family friend was the athletic director at Deerfield Academy, which is a a prep school, boarding school in Massachusetts. A lot of people don't know about prep school,
And
and
would
I
you
guess
explain a little about what prep the grad year is like, what that process is for those who don't know?
yeah. So I did a postgraduate year. So this is a year to grow, whether it's academics or athletically. I chose to do both. And so I went there, and it's an extra year before you go to college. So it's not like going the JUCO route. If we're talking sports, you don't have to, waste a year of eligibility and worry about that. So that was great for me. Someone that was definitely undersized, playing four sports, hadn't had the opportunity to get bigger, get stronger, do all those things. So I had this opportunity to go play football. I, had a few offers there to a lot of the Patriot League schools, so Fordham, Holy Cross, and some schools over there. And then I got an offer to University of Connecticut, so UConn. And that was probably the biggest offer I had at the time. It was still kind of underlooked there. So I committed there, and that was my plan. So really, right now, I'm supposed to be, in Connecticut, playing football. But luckily, my coach at Deerfield Academy, here's that luck again, knew the coaching staff over at Washington State. He coached with them at University of New Hampshire, and sent my stuff there. And that's how I got the opportunity to get a Power 5 offer and attend Washington State. But I guess that's when I kind of got into this sports graphic design, was at Deerfield Academy. People were committing to schools, and this is when commitment edits were starting to become a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, we shared it in our group chat, and I was like, I think I can definitely do something better. Like, I feel like I can do something with this. And, I was editing on my phone and doing it all on my phone. And that's where I picked up graphic design, the sports design, started making a Twitter, finally got on Photoshop, started reaching out to recruits on Twitter and stuff to, hey, let me make your commitment edits. Let me do all this. Declared at Washington State as digital technology major with a minor in fine arts.
I got my CC on right here. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who's making that, but I'm a big fan of that company, Creative Collective, that anonymous brand out of Pullman, which I'm sure you're a big fan of as well.
Yeah, no, definitely doing, some graphic design work. Good friend of mine runs that, helping doing the graphic design work, taking photos and doing some stuff for them. And, maybe helping out with a few designs here and there. So
Mm-hmm.
a nice little thing. On businesses, I guess we could talk about the little thing we tried to throw together. Probably a year ago,
Yeah.
I guess maybe a little after, because that was after. No, that was right before the bowl game, because we
Yeah,
were
that
trying
was
to
right
make those
before.
stickers.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fat Cat Creative Co. Something we hoped was gonna blow up. But it was just something, get our creative juices flowing, and something was definitely special and brought us closer. And it was a great time
Yeah.
for how long it kind of lasted, maybe 3 weeks with you actually a part of it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Dallas and I were starting a creative company. We were drafting some names up, and what was the one Honcho?
Honcho.
We thought that sounded really sick, but the Migos already kind of owned that one. So we were looking up synonyms for that and stumbled upon Fat Cat, which is like a big wig,
Mm-hmm.
rich old guy, very powerful, and thought that sounded cool. And I had just gotten a cat, decided to call it that. And for the 2 weeks before I ended up leaving Washington State, we were planning designs and marketing plans and all that until I moved away and let Dallas take it over. But man, maybe one day after we get out of school and all that, I'd love to collab and still get to get in with you. I got my sewing machine and Cricut.
Still mad I never picked up that sewing machine when it was on sale.
Man, it was a steal. I mean, that's the biggest purchase I've ever made still. I mean, being an unemployed college student. But I do want to ask you about, this was something that I've always had a lot of respect for you, Dallas, and always really looked up to you. I kind of saw you as a big brother at Wazoo. And when you posted that hashtag We Are United, that was something that really stood out to me and was something really powerful that you did. I'd really love for you to explain kind of what that movement means and what it stands for and how that kind of started.
We're United really started as a conversation. I got asked by my friend Dylan Boyles, who um, was playing football at Stanford, and he's also from Iowa, so we have a little connection. We talk every so often. But he hit me up, in the summer at some point, and was just like asking about stuff that was happening at my school. Obviously at the time COVID was happening, and just really how everything's going. It was a weird year in sports, and just all those issues. So that's how we talked. And then he was talking to some other people, and this conversation really got going from that, and it turned into Zoom calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think every day for a month, and then it um, went more into like education. Being informed on a lot of things that are happening in college athletics.
And for context, what was going on at that time when those conversations were starting?
Yep. That's what I was just about to get to. We had these talks about what was happening. Mainly, this group is the Pac-12 movement, and it later branched off to some other things. So it was Pac-12 football players, just talking about, hey, what's going on at your school? What are you doing? What is your school doing? What's happening on your team? And it was a lot of communication and just talking about, everything that was happening, bad and good. Washington State was doing a great job at the time. We put a lot of health and safety standards out there to be successful. We were doing a pretty good job. But it's the stories I heard at other schools that were happening. It's something I still, I guess, can't really talk about. But it was situations that weren't good at all. That were really bad for the athlete, and just wondering why. Like, hey, why are they going through this right now? Why do they have to do this just to play? There were some big issues and stories. When COVID, we didn't have a lot of information about it, didn't know what was happening, and we were kind of getting rushed back without a plan. So the We Are United movement, we came together, talked every day, and really came up with, team reps from every school. Started trying to get more people on board. We ended up getting 400 plus in a group chat that talked. We started drafting up demands, I guess you would say demands, but really a list of issues and stuff that we wanted to address. It started with COVID, health and safety standards, and moved to economic injustice, racial injustice, academic failures, and just a whole lot of things. We put out a list. You can find it on the Players Tribune, and Beau can probably link something in the description. But we had a big old list of stuff that, this is what needs to change, and this is things that need to be put in place to help the student athlete, and really be more successful in different ways. And this is, something, once we went live on August 1st or 2nd, I can't remember the date exactly, we had a lot of support for it, and a lot of, everyone was behind the COVID and health and safety standards. But, the stuff that was, impactful in creating the issues was that revenue sharing.
And would you explain the specifics on that? I've seen a lot of stuff floating around that I didn't see come from any of you guys talk about, like 50% of all revenue of the Pac-12 broadcast, like things that I didn't ever see coming from the group itself. So would you kind of go into the specifics of that?
Yeah. So what we initially wanted to put out there, if we ever had gotten that meeting with the Pac-12 to really talk about these things, we wanted to start at, a split where, it's a good 100 million that come in to the Pac-12 for TV revenue. And there's, the 12 schools in the conference. We wanted to split that and distribute it to each each school, um, and that's 50% of whatever that 100 million something was per year, and distribute that, and then after that, once it gets to the school, distribute it in half and disperse that to the players, the ones for football revenue, obviously. This revenue split, we wanted to give to these students that, would also include walk-ons, which, you were a walk-on yourself. And just the issue of, we put a lot of mental health, our bodies on the line every day. And there's, we are grateful for the scholarship and everything we get there, obviously, but it's the issue, the walk-ons and people that aren't coming from a good situation where they don't have this extra money. I know a lot of people that, whatever money they get that month, they pay their rent, and then whatever's left, besides like the food and stuff they need to get, they send it back home to help out their family. So it's this idea that if we brought in this money and, even gave a little bit, if you're talking 10% of that revenue, it's still a great number that can help, students and athletes be more successful and really create this idea of, generational wealth. You talk about how can we get these Black and underprivileged families, out of the quote unquote mud, is, this money and this idea that you don't have to make it to the NFL if you're not that gifted. You can get your education, you can get this money and help your family, move to a better status and a better situation, and really, create that idea of generational wealth. And it's, an idea that you can then spread this money, because it is a substantial amount of money that could help out, passing it to your siblings that
Oh my God, yeah.
don't have to completely, focus all the resources on sports, and can maybe try and take the educational route, or do other things. There's a lot of things they can do. You don't have parents working 2 to 3 jobs to try and put food on the table, pay the electric bill, or get you through sports and stuff. So there's a lot to it, and I could talk about that for a while, just because there's so much stuff, that was eye-opening to me that could really help the athlete be successful in life, off the football field, and just give, a more secure future in a way.
Well, and that's the toughest part to look at for me. I mean, just with football, it's such a tiny percentage of these athletes that get to go to the next level to
Mm-hmm.
play professionally. And
I think
so
what, 2% or something? Correct me if
at
it's
the
something
highest maybe,
yeah.
and that's just football, not looking at the other sports where the opportunities are even fewer for women's soccer players and baseball players and all these other athletes, where I got 4, maybe 5 years of being marketable and being able to make money off of me before I got to say, well, my career's done. Now I got to figure out my life. And I had all this time being a part of being a cog in $1 billion nonprofit that is the NCAA,
Mhm.
and not seeing a dime of that outside of the stipend that I got to pay for rent and food. Or if I'm a walk-on like myself, like I did the math my true freshman year, not being on travel squad. So I had all of Saturday off and most of Sunday. That was a 42-hour work week
Yeah, exactly.
without traveling for games.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
a
I can't even
lot
get
of time.
on payroll with a company to have a job on the side. So like I can't, I was very blessed to have parents that could pay for my rent and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I couldn't imagine doing that without, like, I would have, that's where you see guys who I can't figure out where they're going to live and
Mhm.
eat.
Yeah,
So,
and we're definitely fortunate in Pullman that we're not having these absurd cost of living
oh yeah, I can't
like they do
imagine
in
being at
California.
USC or UW.
Yeah, and being that walk on, living in the city, you know, you're going to have some issues there. So that's something it's a lot of things that go into college athletics that, you know, are great, you know, and everything is great. But there's a lot of issues that, you know, people throw to the side, and don't really see like what the average athlete is going through, you know, on a daily basis. And that's why, you know, this idea of a platform being generated so people can speak up on these things is a great thing. Um, because, you know, we see so many issues that aren't being discussed, and, you know, slowly they are, because a lot of, you know, platforms are being created on social media. That's great, but, you know, we need more people to step up and activate those platforms so people think they can actually, you know, speak out, whereas a lot of people before didn't think they had the place to talk. And, you know, this is going to help for mental health issues in student athletes, you know. um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of mental health issues that a lot of people don't really discuss or talk about, you know, because there's this stigma around college sports, mainly college football. Um, you know, college basketball's in there too. That, you know, you're this tough, strong football player that, you know, not a lot of things are going wrong. You know, you're playing in the big lights. You're getting money. You're getting these clothes. You're getting these shoes. You're on this, you know, high pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is, if you look down, everyone's looking up at you. Like, you know, you're always being watched. Wherever you go, you're being watched. You know, you walk into a grocery store, you know, and sometimes it's good. You know, sometimes I mean, most of the times it's good actually.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, what's your name? You're on the football team, right?" Like, they know you, especially in a small town like Pullman, and it's great. You know, that's a great thing. But it's the other side of things. You know, you do something wrong, and boom, you're stamped right on that board, and you're like, oh, this player did it wrong. And a lot of people don't get that, you know, second opportunity, so they mess up, and they're known. You know, a normal college student doesn't have to go through that. You know, most of the time they're not going to post their name in the newspaper if this happens or do that. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess you should be held to a different standard as a college athlete, but there's still little things that a lot of people don't see, and that's, you know, the messed up part. I was going to talk about, you were talking about like marketing and this 4 to 5 years. We have this name, image, likeliness, you know,
Mm-hmm.
coming out here soon. You know, you see all these states and places that adopting principles and guidelines and creating things to help out. So I think that's going to be something that's, you know, super major, especially for a lot of the athletic programs that don't really have the full scholarships, don't have a lot of the things to help out on that side. They can go back home in the summer. They can go back home when they have time and do um, hopefully camps, hopefully create sponsorships of some sort. So I think that's going to be a big thing for college athletics. You know, it's going to be some murky waters, obviously, but I think it's something that's going to be, you know, super, super amazing. You know, it's been being pushed for a while, but name, image, likeliness will be something that's very helpful to a lot of um, athletes to, you know, market themselves in a different way, and really show their talents outside of the football field, outside of the basketball court, and just outside of sports in general. So I think name, image, likeliness is going to be something that's just major.
I think that is what I mean. This is long overdue for them finally passing that bill of allowing student athletes to own their name, image, likeness. I get that it's a slippery slope, a tough ask to divide up, how much does an athlete get to make off of the TV deals and all that, and how does that work coming from the university and the divides that might cause in recruiting it and all that. But at the very least, I think it's long overdue that these student athletes are able to say, well, can I at least get a shoe deal?
Yeah.
Can I have a discount code for t-shirts and do a Les Schwab commercial? I don't see how that is taking away from the university at all. And when you have just such a slim time where I can be a campus hero, and then a year after I'm just a regular guy again. I mean,
like
it's just
that.
missed
Snap of a
opportunities.
finger.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's you say at the least, why can't I make money off my talent? Like
Hmm.
there's people out there making money off my athletic talent,
Yeah.
why can't I at least make money off the talent I have outside the football field? For me, being a graphic designer, being creative in a way, a lot of ideas go through my head, and it's like I would love to promote something on my own Twitter page, my own Instagram page, but once you get big, they'll take that away. So there's issues on that side of things, or you
And
have
that's a separate talent that you don't
exactly,
even, that's not even attached to, I mean, maybe you have a little bit of advantage because you have a bigger Twitter following,
yeah,
but you're selling a different service
yeah.
aside from just being a football player. And
Exactly. It's not that idea I'm selling a jersey. Like that's not even tied to that side of
yeah,
things, like stuff like that. So yeah, you can go
what,
back on.
yeah, why can't I be an artist aside from that? And I believe it was Jay Billis on the and I recommend everybody watch this on Netflix, Schooled: The Price of College Sports. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's Jay Billis. He says if you have an English student on full academic scholarship and they write a bestseller, they get all that money.
Hmm.
None of that's taken away. But if a college football player plays for a Nike school and gets a free pair of Adidas cleats, his scholarship's taken away.
Yeah.
And that's where it's, well, that's not fair.
Hmm.
That
Or
that's
yeah,
not
you're talking about the little tiny details in the rule books. Code. What is it like 605-B24 in the blah blah blah. However far it goes deep, where you can't get a ride without paying the person.
Oh yeah.
Like there's something behind that. There's meals being paid for. There's
I can't accept
um,
a free meal and all that. Like I
yeah.
gotta.
And technically, say I'm talking to someone and they don't know me as an athlete. Technically, I can't accept anything they give me,
Mm-hmm.
which is messed up because you
Yeah.
never said like, "Oh, hey, I'm an athlete. I play football here." Like, blah blah blah. It's
Yeah,
not
you're
like
just
you're.
Dallas.
Yeah, it's like it's messed up that you really in the back of your head there's a lot of limitations to what you can and can't do and be controlled in that way. So it's like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like you're telling me I'm just walking on the side of the road and you can't do this a lot nowadays, just pick up a ride from a stranger. But you're saying on the side of the road someone picks me up because it's a blizzard outside, I can't get in that car without giving them money. But it's like it's still pretty messed up that there's all these little things that we can't do, but you have a person that's in college and they're an influencer. They have a bigger, Twitter, Instagram page, and they're more known than me. But what's the difference? Especially, you have people on the this lower end, the walk-ons and stuff, and people that maybe not even have social media pages, aren't really known on the team, and they still can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking selling a jersey. I'm talking starting up a business, trying to make some money on the spare time. They can't do that
Mm-hmm.
um, without going through a whole bunch of loops. I mean, technically, you can work, you can have a job, but it can't be tied to your name in a way. And there's a whole bunch of small details about it that it's like, even if I want to do this, like, why risk? Why risk getting in trouble of even starting it? Like, there shouldn't even be this issue of like stopping me from um, exploring my creative freedoms, trying to start up something, because we're barely, now I'm going to get into another tangent. We're barely, in a lot of cases, learning what we want in this educational system. Obviously, I listened to your last podcast with Cooper. It was amazing.
Thank
And
you.
talking about how, shout out to him. Definitely want to connect with him sometime. But talking about the educational system and how it's, flawed in a way, and how we're really, if I'm talking, we're destroying creative freedom. You get funneled into a class, you learn history, you learn math, and I'm not saying those are bad things, but it's like, what if I don't want to do this? I mean, luckily now you're able to, not to go finish college, not to finish high school, and you can still somehow make it. So we're lucky in that stance. But it's like, why stress these people out that they have to go do this? They have to go to college, get this degree. They have to, come out with something that has a certificate that said I did this. But in the end, a lot of those things don't even matter. For some people, you're lucky enough to have a college major that, interests you, but a lot of people just get into it because they think that's how it goes. So it's messed up in that point. And then if you even go back to elementary, you go back to middle school, you go back to high school, you take, in my case, one art class compared to the 5 other curriculum that is decided by someone else that doesn't even know you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of messed up stuff around that. It's like this system's flawed. Everyone's going around like sheep trying to follow this this path that's already been predetermined for us, years back.
Well, and I remember being in the freshman orientation advising appointments with the advisors through football, and being behind one of my teammates at Wazoo and him saying he wants to do architecture. And the advisor, she goes, well, we usually don't let athletes or football players do architecture because that's really time consuming and you won't have the time with football. And that was something he was really interested in and wanted to do. And after that, he became a comm major.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, and I guess to those academic advisors, because some of them might listen because they're great people and they
Oh
always
yeah, no, shout out,
find
like
my stuff. But to their defense, they can't do anything about it. So it's
oh,
like,
it's not on the advisors. I mean,
exactly.
those are great people, and shout out to everybody that I've worked with at Wazoo and Montana. But that's the system.
Yep.
Is
Just
that's
wanted to
that's coming
clarify that. But
from
yeah,
the top.
exactly. So they're even putting people on a predetermined track even farther down the road, where we were, what I was discussing is more when a normal student comes in and determines their major, a lot of those things don't work out. If we're getting into the sports side of things, that's an area that's just completely, effed up. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I get it, but there should be, the worst, I'm not even going to go there. Sometimes I got to watch
I'm
myself.
editing. If you want me to say it, I can.
Um, I was just gonna say how your majors, there's like 4 majors that are picked or a couple majors that are already picked, obviously, because and I was gonna go deeper into it, but there's this idea of time constraint or the difficulty or just a lot of things that these are predetermined majors and nobody really gets to truly explore what they want to do and understand where they can go educationally. But it sucks that there's people out there that are in majors doing things that they don't like, trying to make their way through it, and it's just it just sucks to see people like that. Luckily for me, luckily probably for you too, you were able, you're in a major or somewhat in something that you love. Like I'm glad to be in digital technology because that's talking, data analytics, cybersecurity, coding, a whole different side of the graphic design, mixing it all together that I was surprised that I learned. So I'm happy for that. And also to be able to do the fine arts major. And now with this COVID year, having the opportunity to have an extra year. And now I'm looking at grad school.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at this interdisciplinary major, which really sounds interesting to me because the ability to pick 3 different programs. So I'm thinking about doing entrepreneurship, business, and then maybe comm or maybe something. But you get to mix these 3 programs together and dabble in a little bit different stuff and not stay in one because that's something I'm into. I really want to expand in the most ways and take in the most information.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes longer, so I might have to do some extra schooling and stuff. But in the end, it's like it's a mix of stuff that I want to do, and hopefully, change. I guess the route I'm going on is already changed. I'm looking into being in teaching, in education, with art, owning a business. So I don't know. I'm all over the place where I want to go, but I think it's going to be great to get out into the real workforce and really finally make my own money, do my own things, and really try and help out in a lot of different areas.
Mhm.
Also, I don't have to leave at 2:00 my meeting, so We can go for
Oh,
however long you want. I'm already in the talking mood, so we can go for however long.
okay, sweet. What else you got for me, man?
Quarantine. How have you grown as a person in quarantine? I want to switch it up and ask you a question in a way, because I know a lot has happened. If we're talking when it kind of was a thing, January, February. From January, February, what have you done? How have you grown? What have you seen?
Well, thank you for that. I really haven't gone into my journey a ton on here, so I guess this has given me the opportunity now. So before I left Washington State right before everything happened. I left right
Like
after New Year's. Huh?
like a month maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I announced my entering into the transfer portal right after New Year's. I was on my way to Pullman. So the reason I left is because I wasn't getting opportunities to play at Washington State under the staff that was there. And I was on my way to Pullman to pack up my room when I got the Bleacher Report update that Leach and everybody was leaving, which was pretty sweet. Kind of looking back, hindsight's always 2020, but kind of wishing I waited a couple days on that. So miss you guys a lot there. But I stuck with it, and I took the semester off, and so I didn't go through the academic and athletic side. I didn't experience all the spring ball getting canceled and what it was like to go from all these in-person classes to being sent home and doing everything online. I went through that, and took that semester home, and went through the recruiting process again, and it was a lot of the same thing where it was a lot of the offers I had out of high school, which were not a ton, and then getting preferred walk-on opportunities at it came down to Northern Colorado and University of Montana, and ended up at Montana and got there and was really excited about it, and was finally feeling like, you know what, maybe it wasn't a mistake leaving Washington State like I had thought before, and really excited being there. And things were picking up, and from the what we were kind of hearing, it was like, well, things are getting better, and we're progressing back, and cases are down, and Montana's not really getting hit by it. So I think we're gonna have a season this year, and I'm getting excited. And then we're having like our first unpadded practice in the fall, and I start feeling really sick. Thought I was going to pass out, and took myself out. And after that practice, I went and got tested, and COVID was all negative.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, that's weird because I still feel like ass. And so I finished out my quarantine and got tested again, and it was still nothing. And then I was like, look, like I still feel really sick. And then I got a couple more tests run, and it was mono that I had. With that, I was out. I mean, that just wipes out your immune system and your energy levels and everything. And so I was out for,
Talk about working out in athletics. You got to worry about what is it? Something rupturing? What?
it's your spleen
Yes, yeah.
and your liver. So I also couldn't drink during then. Um,
It was a sad boy quarantine.
yeah, it was pretty lame.
Sitting,
um,
sitting, yeah, because you quarantine from mono then because of all the sickness issues. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, because immune system was wiped, so I needed to quarantine just to keep myself safe
Yeah.
from COVID.
Yep.
Um, and so that took me out for 4 5 weeks. I mean, about a month.
It's a long
That
time.
Yeah, it's a long recovery with that. And then I came back, and we had the week I got back, we had our first positive test on the team. And so the whole team, 110, 100, 120, however many people it was, with the coaching staff and then the academic advisors and the media team and everybody got quarantined for the 10 days that was.
So you're what at almost 7 weeks now of not doing anything.
Yeah. And I get back, and I went to 3 lifts, and my roommate tested positive.
So then there goes another 14.
So that was
You're
back. quarantine.
9 weeks, maybe some change.
So I'm there, and that was right after my parents had came up to visit. So with that, my roommate tested positive, and then I think through my roommate, my mom and sister both got it. I got quarantined, and my mom and sister both got pretty sick, and I I got tested, and I lost my sense of smell
Hmm.
and was sick, and I got tested multiple times through the university, and it was only the rapid tests I was given,
Yeah.
um, which I won't get into my conspiracies there, but all the athletes I talked to only got the rapid tests, and they were all negative, but when they went to the county is when they got the real ones, and that's when they found out they were positive. So I was, air quotes, negative during that time, and but because I had the constant contact with my roommate, I had to quarantine an extra 14 days on top of when he got out.
Yeah.
And with that, it's like, well, I don't even think the season's happening. I'm way out of shape because I basically spent 2 months in quarantine.
Yeah.
I don't have access to a gym. Like, I'm just locked in my room and still coming off of my labrum surgery that I had. And, my rehab was kind of taken back with that, just getting out of shape. And I'm like, well, I'm putting my health at risk being around all these guys. My mom and sister got it. I technically haven't gotten it, nor in my mind, I don't think I have. So I opted out of the season, and I got released from the team. And I don't know. I mean, I get that, I only had 15 minutes of practice at the University of Montana, and the the senior class is all coming back. I mean, you're going to see a lot of athletes getting cut this year because every sport across the country is now going to have, with everyone's eligibility being paused, is going to have another class of athletes in their programs. So I get that part, but I got released, and so through this process, I kind of felt like the universe has been screaming at me to be on my own. 2 months of quarantine, and some pretty tough mental battles, some breakups, and with the climate that's in the world, that's pre-election and post George Floyd, a lot of friendships that took a toll. With that quarantine, I felt like the universe was really just telling me, like, you have to be alone, and getting sent back into that third quarantine. And through the internship we had with Yogi and Ashley, in that I think that was your first day, was when Dr. Michael Gervais spoke to us, right?
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, because he was the one that said, what's the narrative we're giving ourselves? And that really stood out to me. And from that point, I decided to really get into internal reflection and trying to be okay on my own, because, a lot of this time my identity has been being an athlete and not knowing who I am aside from that. And so with that, I really pushed myself to say, you know what, you need to be okay on my own, because my happiness has really been driven through football and then other people. And so I think a lot of the lessons I learned through this was I can be on my own, and I'm going to be okay, but I wasn't giving myself the opportunity to just be on my own myself. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from this was I'm okay on my own, and I had to go through these things to figure that out and figure out what I love. And so I think I really found a passion with making my art, whether it's the stickers or clothing or edits and all that, and then also podcasting and doing this. This is my second podcast I've started, and I think my passion or calling or whatever I want to label it as is, I think I'm put here to create things that other people enjoy and that I love doing myself.
Hmm.
So I think that's my biggest takeaway through all of this, is that I love creating things, and I also love when people enjoy what I've made. And I think you're pretty similar in that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would say that's a lot of stuff that, you went on a crazy, path that's definitely hard to go through. You know, in these times, especially these times of isolation, when you do have COVID, and these times of unease, these times of just really what's going to happen next. A lot of this, a lot of stuff happening lately is like a week to week basis. You really don't know what's ahead of you, and what's happening. Props to you to make it through quarantine, make it through. I guess we're not through it yet. This COVID era that has created a lot of issues, but also created a lot of um, personal growth for a lot of people, for myself as well. I would say, put all the bad things aside from COVID, and if we're talking about just this idea of self isolation, and being um, more alone, and stuck in a certain place, gives this opportunity for real critical thinking, to really understand who you are in a way. It got people out of this routine that they were on, and really made them think like what they were doing, because you weren't leaving your space a lot. So you really had to find time, whether it was what used to be your drive to work, what used to be your lunch break, what used to be actual time sitting in the office, or in the classroom, or in this or in that. You get out of your normal lifestyle. And I can say for sure that that helped me grow a lot. Like, I was lucky to spend my 3 months of being away from football and doing all that stuff with my girlfriend and her family in the Tri-Cities. And that was a great time, just because um, thankful for them that they let me stay there that long. It was a good opportunity to be there and just change up life and do things different, and have more time not having sports, have more time to find my creativity, find my passions, to change up, to get away from this athletic college lifestyle that I was a part of, for this time. And, it was when I realized, like, oh, hey, we're only going to be gone for 2 weeks. I was like, oh, nice little break. Then we were gone for a month, and I was like, okay, this is getting old, and I'm waiting, and I have to figure out, like, well, what am I doing? So I kind of had to, like I said, adapt a new lifestyle and change, which gave me the ability to um, grow into a lot of different roles. So I'm grateful for that. And I would say, like you, this personal growth, to realize, like, hey, what am I doing with my life? What is this teaching me? What am I learning? And I'd say I learned a shit ton,
Mm-hmm.
and just have grown just in a really positive way. And I'm grateful for that. There's a lot of issues that have happened, through the We United, when I thought I wasn't a part of the team, going through this what if, going through this, like, what's going to happen next, like, what can I do, and really, in a way, I guess the first time I really said it, a dark place in in a sense, to understand, like, all right, this was my life, like, football was my life, like, WSU was my life, this is all I've known for the past, what is it, 4 years. So I hit a dark place, like, man, I don't know what's next. Like, and luckily I had great support around me, my friends, my family, my girlfriend, my mom, my dad were always checking in on me. So I'm grateful for that. But it was this issue of, what do I do next? This is all I know. And it'd be a rapid switch to what's to come. But luckily, good things happen, and I was able to understand things and grow, and do a lot of things and be able to, you know, find this new way of life and this idea that I need to help others out. I need to create this platform. I need to produce things, create a new way of putting myself out there to help others that can't stand up and share experiences or talk or learn things a certain way. So I'm evolving as a person, and it's great. And I would say for sure I'm so grateful for not COVID, but this new way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the first time I really talked about it. Grateful for Yogi and Ashley's class. That taught me a lot of things. Talking with them, and just I guess a good one was that conversation we had probably a month ago or so, where I think we talked for an hour long. Just being able to talk to people a lot more. That's something I'm trying to do. You know, have these conversations with people I haven't talked to in a while, and discuss a lot of things and open up to a lot of different things that I haven't talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Relationships are very on us now.
yeah,
You know,
they have
getting
to
being
be.
pushed away and locked down, you're not forced around to be the same people, so the isolation gets really real. And so I think a lot of what I've learned through this is like, I'm not going to have these friendships if I don't get on it and work for them. Because you know, before, you're around these people all the time, and you're forced to be friends through practice and weights and class and all this, and now it's, I'm on my computer and I get into class, and my video's off and I'm not talking to anyone. So if I want to have friends, it's very much on me to call them up and keep those relationships going.
Or create the imaginary friends that live in your head and talk to them a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
Not
we've gotten
saying I'm
very
crazy,
close.
not
We've
saying I'm
gotten very
crazy,
close this time.
but talking to that voice in your head, which I found out not too long ago, a lot of people don't have that voice in their head, which is pretty crazy. I don't know if I'm wrong, but there's like it's something some people have and some people don't, which is
Really?
something I learned not too long ago. I forget where I heard it. Don't 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 put this on me that is true or anything, or I don't know where I saw that, but I saw it somewhere, and that's wild to me.
If uh if anybody is listening to this and do not have a voice in their head, please reach out to me, and I would love to have a conversation. I just want to know what's going on in there and how freeing that must be.
Yeah, but on the side of things, that voice in your head is good, is bad, is it does a lot of things. So I forget where we were at before that. I guess making friends, and holding these relationships, but that's something, yeah, like you said, you're not having these forced meetings, these forced conversations. It's stuff you have to reach out and do. And I've reached out to a lot of people, rekindled a lot of fires, talked to a lot of people I haven't talked to in a while, and also started finding new ways of obtaining information and conversations. And that's coming from podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the Joe Rogan one a lot. Listen to Lex Friedman, however you
Friedman.
say that exactly. He's an amazing guy. He has great guests. I'm consumed by podcasts now. And also this mix of being consumed by podcasts and having this new, I guess, sensation of wanting to talk and speak about things has allowed me and Khalees and Danny to start up our own podcast that's been in the makings for probably 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Just due to busy schedules and stuff, we haven't been able to do that. But
And that's showing colors. When do you have a, excuse me, projected start date for that?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say February to be safe, just because everyone doesn't get back till the 19th. We were gonna do Zoom stuff, but um, Wi-Fi is an issue when you get that many people on a
Yeah.
call, and then all our mics are in Pullman.
Yeah.
Um, so probably just wait till we have our first one where we can all, see each other and not create it digitally, just because we have the opportunity to meet in person to do that. So I'm saying February, waiting on some music. The the cover art's already out there. Created that myself, and you're the first person that saw that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, it's pretty cool. And just around the name, shout out Danny for the name. We were taking forever to figure out a name, but showing colors. I guess the idea around it, really Danny brought it up, but what I'm taking from it is now this idea that there's a lot of colors, quote unquote colors inside your body, where it's your creative side. Kind of like, what's that one movie where
Inside Out.
Inside Out, in a
Yeah.
way, they're all different colors. So these different, anger, being sad, being happy, ideas and stuff, just how they generate different colors. And it's this idea of showing those, and showing a different color. So we're just going to, have special guests, probably start out with a lot of athletes to start, just because, with everything happening, a lot of athletes change their way of lifestyle, like I talked about earlier. So they've seen and experienced a whole lot of different things. So we're going to try and put athletes on, so we can talk to them about their things, and then hopefully bring on some more. I have a lot of friends that are in the music industry. Hopefully bring in just some other people that I've come to know through networking and stuff. And hopefully it's going to be fun and successful. If it's not successful, a great place to help others out, and have people learn some new informations. Just like this one, I think this podcast is going to do some great things just because you have a lot to talk about. And just by the guests you've had, they've had a lot to talk about. Still stoked about I think I listened to it 2 days ago, Cooper's conversation about education reform and those issues. That was a great podcast. And for your second podcast, a lot of people, not to do, I guess, a critique and review on your podcast right now.
Hey, no, I love it.
But it's just great to see that happen, in a second podcast where you don't really know where it's going. But I think it's amazing that you're already, feeling super comfortable to talk about a lot of things that a lot of people don't have the ability to talk about, don't know how to talk about, or don't have the platform. So you're going to create a lot of help for people that, I guess, don't know where they're at right now. Continue bringing on guests. I hope to be on this podcast a lot more times. You're going to be on my podcast.
I love that.
And just a lot of, it's just amazing the access and ability we have to create new knowledge and teach people new things. So, man, I'm grateful for this obsession I have for podcasts now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for coming on. Before I let you go, I want to let you plug all your stuff, and then I do want to ask where We Are United is at now, and aside from the podcast, what is next for Dallas Hobbs?
Yeah, so I have multiple. So just my personal accounts, Instagram is d.0bbs, so Dallas Hobbs, just in that sense. And then there's Hobbs Photos, which you can all find linked on here and linked in my bios. There's Hobbs Design, so that's my photography, graphic design stuff. Those are the same on Twitter, except for my personal, which is dhobbs92. Let's see. Other than those main ones, I think that's about it. Unless you guys want my LinkedIn. No, I'm kidding. I need to work on that. So that's a reminder to work on that. Mm-hmm. But I guess more serious note, We're United. The movement is, everyone got busy, so it's kind of at a standstill right now. So it's really, after this season, rekindling things and trying to figure out what the next move is.
Especially with that bill passing, I'm sure the movement will evolve a ton.
Yeah, and just trying to see if, because there was some issues with this season. There were some successes. Trying to talk about those things and just giving it another platform. Just trying to figure out where it's going to go next. Try to establish some things. So that's that for We United, just trying to figure out where that goes next. For myself, finish up this football season, got a couple more games left. Finish up this year academically. And what's next? Off season helps out with a little bit more time. So knowing me, I'm going to pick up some more hobbies, pick up some more
Buy some more
jobs,
toys.
probably some more toys. Psych. I need to stop spending money on.
Mhm.
I just bought a rug gun. Like I'm making rugs now, so
And
it's
I'm
like,
so jealous of it too.
and I buy too many toys, so I think I need to put a hold on my account that says anything that's creativity. No, I'm just kidding, because everything. The good thing about everything I buy, it helps with my creativity. It helps with my design work. It helps with my thought, and it helps with just my mental health. Being able to leave the world and do something. But yeah, stop buying toys, but keep buying them because I know it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
But then trying to start figuring out, because this name, image, likeliness is coming soon. So trying to develop some more things around that, try and get ahead of it before. Obviously, I'm not going to be too late because I'm ahead in a lot of those things. So just making sure I'm ready to go for that. And I don't know, just staying busy. I'm always busy doing stuff. And yeah, so what's next for me is, all up in the air because I'm always doing something new every other day.
Mhm.
Especially when the season's over and it's just working out in school. So yeah, don't know what's fully next, but it'll be good. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll all be following you and rooting for you. Thanks again for coming on, Dallas. We're all excited to see what's next with you, and I'll be in touch. Love you, buddy.
You forgot one thing. You said that in your podcast you're gonna start asking people what cool thing. What was it exactly? What cool thing
Oh, yeah.
the
Thank
last
you.
2 weeks?
Thank you. Okay. There you go. You're calling me out on my shit already. I love it. I love it. What's the coolest thing you've learned in the last 2 weeks?
What is the coolest thing that I've learned in the last 2 weeks? See, I was preparing for the question, but I think I've talked about a lot of the things that I was gonna say. Um, the coolest thing I've learned in the last 2 weeks has got to be maybe that rug making. I guess I'm perfecting that in a way. Hopefully finishing that soon and
Hmm.
getting that down. That's the coolest thing I learned. Um, Also, TikTok makes me learn a lot of new things every day.
Oh, definitely.
TikTok is toxic, but on the other side of things, it's really great for me. I save millions of videos, have albums for what I'm going to create next. So
Hmm.
I've learned a lot of things, but I guess the biggest thing is making that rug and probably some other stuff I learned on some podcasts. So that question was hard for me, so that's why I tried to prepare for it, but I talked about way too much. But we'll wrap it up from there before I start going on another tangent to talk about a whole lot of other.
I love it. And my point I had on that was looking at that as creatives, you see the video of a sick rug getting made, and
Yeah, we've
the
talked
the
about this one.
yeah, the difference was everybody sees that rug and it's like, oh my gosh, I need that rug. And then people like you and I see it and we're like, oh my gosh, I need that rug gun because
I
I
need to
need to be
figure
able
out
to
how
make
I
that.
can make that. Like
Yeah.
that's why I buy all my toys, is because not I guess before TikTok, before I got on there, I just saw stuff, on Instagram, saw stuff on Twitter. And then I got TikTok and it really just effed me up
Hmm.
about the things I wanted to create, about the things I wanted to learn. So that's been beneficial. I try to go on that at least once a day to get some more ideas, get the stuff moving. Um, but yeah, I have too many videos saved off there that I want to get to and attack. But I'll be busy doing that, and you know, just we're built different. We think a little different.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. But being creative is a gift.
Oh yeah. Well, with that, thanks so much again. Love you, buddy. I can't wait for showing colors and when I'm on there and the next time you're on here. So
Of course, I will be back soon because it's now going to be titled Part One, Part Two for whenever I come on, because I don't think this podcast could ever end, and we'll keep finding stuff to talk about. But
no
I
doubt.
appreciate you having me on. Love you, man. Keep the mental health up. Reach out to those around you. I guess I'll put that out there. Reach out to everyone around you. Check up on people. Make sure everyone's good. And just live your life how you want to.
Hmm.
Be the creator of your world.
Hmm. Amen.
But yeah, I appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Much love.
Thank you guys so much for listening. That was Dallas Hobbs, graphic design student, artist, and as well as football player at Washington State University. Dallas can be reached through his social media links in the description. Also, a special shout out to Dylan Scott for making the theme music for the Beau Show. His links will be down in the description, as well as Alex Rothschilds, who made the cover art. Thanks for listening. Peace.